Hello there viewers, Richard here. Welcome to our how to play video for Frankenstein's Bodies with the game's creator, Andrew Harman. Andrew was kind enough to meet us at loading on a busy Tuesday night to take us and you through his game in detail. Before Andrew gets started, I'll give a very quick run through of how to play the game. First you deal the daily delivery of cards into the middle of the play area. The number of cards here should be the number of players plus 1. The first player then has a choice. They can either draw 2 cards from the deck, the face down cards, or 1 card from the play area and 1 from the deck. You then play 2 cards. Once every player has taken their turn, the daily delivery is disposed of. Any body cards are put into the waste and any action cards go to the discard pile. Turn order then changes, with the first player for the next round moving to the left. The daily delivery of body parts and actions is then dealt and play continues. The game ends when either the deck runs through twice or a player has completed 2 bodies. Now, I'll pass you over to Andrew for a bit more detail. I'll chime in with a breakdown of the game scoring towards the end of the video.
Right, hello Dan, this is Frankenstein's Bodies. This is a game where you are playing surgeons in Frankenstein's laboratories trying to impress him with the bodies that you create. You have in front of you 1 laboratory area with 2 benches. These are the benches on which you're going to be building your body parts. Okay? You will have space for 6 body bits. So a head there, a torso there, 2 arms and 2 legs. Okay, fairly straightforward, anatomically correct. The aim at the end of the game is to try and make sure that the bodies that you're building are matched as much as you can in terms of colour and gender. So there are 2 genders, male and female, as you would expect, and there are 4 colours, which is the serum that's been used to reanimate them. So there's red, there's blue, there's green and there's yellow. Okay, so at the end of the game, if you could have something like a torso, a head and a leg in play, you can see that all of those they're all blue and they're all male. They're all blue because they've got a little blue symbol on, which is a circle, and they're all male because they've got an arrow pointing up. There's a female arrow cross pointing down, which is your normal genetic things. So, if at the end of the game you were to have that, you would have 3 bonus points for that here in terms of its match for colour and gender. Okay, so that's the type of thing you're aiming for. Getting there, however, is a bit hard because you're going to have other surgeons messing you about. Right, so let's start with the cards that you get to play with, and there are 8 types of card. What you start with is the body cards that I've just shown you here. As you can see, there's different colours and different genders. So, one of the important things about Frankenstein's Bodies is that you can play in your own area and everybody else's as well. Right? So, different cards do the same thing but have different effects in each player's area, and it's the strategy of how you're using those that make it important. You'll have 5 cards in your hand, you'll be picking 2 and you'll be playing 2. So, let's start with the body cards. Body cards are played, as I've just shown you, onto one of the bench areas that are available. So, you could choose, if you wanted to, from your hand to play a head card there, or you could play it anywhere else. Now, as I explained, at the end of the game, if one player has 2 body parts, 2 bodies finished, game ends. Right? So what you're trying to do is make sure that that happens. So you can put body parts down in everybody else's areas or your own. You can't put body cards on top of another, so you can't have 2 arms piling on top of each other, and you don't have to connect them. So you can start with a head, you can put a leg down, you can start on that bench, it's entirely up to you. Right? So, that's putting body cards down. It wouldn't be very exciting if it was just putting body cards down, so interaction starts here. This is where these cards come in. The first one is this bunch of cards here called Surgery. Any card that is in this deck that's got a big red arrow on it means something is going to be moving from somewhere. So, in this case, a surgery card has got an anatomical symbol on there. This is a torso, and it's got a saw to say, remove that torso by surgery. Right? There's ones for heads, ones for arms, ones for legs, and ones for any part that you choose. So, if you're going to remove a torso, you can do it from 2 places. One, from your own area, in which case you can take it and you can throw it into the discard pit, or you can play it on somebody else's area, or you can swap it between the two bench areas if you decide it's in the wrong place. Or, more interestingly, and probably more common, is you can take it from somebody else's area. So, if we were to have your head there, and I was to try and steal that head using the relevant head part, I could take it, and I could do three things with it. One, put it in my area, put it in anybody else's area, or throw it away. Now, if it's going in anybody else's area, it's been dragged through the mud in Gothic horror style in Frankenstein's laboratories, it will end up there infected. That is shown by having a little symbol there, and that means that this card is worthless. One of the things that I should have said is that each body card scores 2 points. If it's infected, it does two things. One, it scores nothing in the score round, and two, it can't be removed by anybody else, including yourself, by surgery until it's disinfected. How do you disinfect it? Using a carbolic spray card. Okay, so a carbolic spray card can be used to remove one infection token. Now, as you can already see, you're probably starting to get strategies together. Because it's pick two, play two, you could disinfect, steal it, and see what happens. So, is there a way of doing surgery without getting infections? Yes. These are two parts of a pair of cards called Master Surgeons. These Master Surgeons are introduced and they're generic, so it's up to you to decide what their specialty is. And that's decided by these little areas across the top of your board here. So you'll have a surgeon, and what you will do is, if it's slid under your board there, he becomes an arm surgeon. This guy can work on two body parts at the same time, and in this case, this arm surgeon works on these two arms. If he was over here, he'd be working on those two arms. This leg surgeon works on those two legs, and these guys work on across the two areas. So a head surgeon works there, and a torso surgeon works there and there. Okay, that's where they work. What do? Three things. They do. If you were to put that in place before you stole the arm, like it is now, and you can do that, that means that arm is stolen, delivered in perfect condition, and is not infected, which is a good thing. Or is it, depending on how you want to play it. Also, if you have an arm in play there, this Master Surgeon stops you, or anybody else, removing that arm while this surgeon's in play. And the other thing is that it gives you points when you score. There are 2 score rounds, and we'll come back to that in a little while. So, these Master Surgeons, pretty powerful, pretty important things. Can you do anything about it? Yes. Similar card, great big arrow. These allow you to move surgeons around. You can play that on yourself to change where you want your surgeon to be working, or you can play it on somebody else. So if I was to play that against you, Dan, I would steal that surgeon and I would put it into play anywhere I chose. He started as an arm surgeon. I can retrain him on the way and decide whether he stays an arm surgeon or becomes anything else. So he's a leg surgeon over here now. Okay? Fairly straightforward so far. He's nodding, which is good. These cards, there's a whole series of these, again for torsos, arms, legs and heads, and these are body quality cards. As you're working as a surgeon on these, you suddenly discover they're a fantastic piece of anatomy, so you get a bonus for those. So in this case, this is a torso one with a +2 on it. This will allow you to put one of these tokens onto a torso in play, and that will stay there for the rest of the game. By staying there for the rest of the game, so, oh, well, there we go, there's the torso. So, in that particular case, that would remain there, okay? So, if I was to steal that from you, bring it over here, that would end up over here, but infected. If it's infected, it means it scores nothing until it's disinfected. It's not nothing +2, it's nothing, okay? So, that's the way they work. There are +2s and +3s in the game, and you can add on top of those if you want to. So you get +2, +3, pile them all up, make it particularly tempting to steal. These cards are deflection cards, and these are a way of defending your laboratory area against other people's attacks. Those attacks being what I've just described. So a surgery, somebody trying to steal your part, somebody trying to disinfect it, somebody trying to remove your surgeon, or somebody putting a body card in your area that you don't want. So deflection is a way of saying, nope, not in my laboratory. So, it's the only card that you can play from your hand in response to anybody else, and it works like this. So, if I was to try and steal a torso from your laboratory area, and you said, no, that's a particularly nice torso, I want to keep that, you could play the deflection and go, no, not in my lab. I'm now trying to steal that torso, but it's up to you to decide which torso I get to steal. So you can play it on Rich, or you can play it on Andy, or you can even bounce it back to me. So I still get a torso, but not necessarily the one I want. If it goes back to me, then if that torso is there, I'll have to move it to the other side. If that's full of another torso, I've got to put it in my hand or discard it. Okay? Deflections, I didn't tell you this before, deflections can be deflected. So if you wanted to, you could bounce that around. I forgot that one. Sorry, guys. And then finally, card-wise, you've got this card here called the Raid the Disposal Pit. At some point in the game, you will have a whole bunch of body parts in there. That allows you to bring one of those back out of the pit and put it into play. Normal infection rules apply, so if you haven't got a master surgeon in play, it will be infected. Or you can put it into your hand and then
reuse that at a later date, in which case it's clean. There's a hand limit of 5, and you'll be picking 2 and playing 2. That's the card explanation.
There are 2 scoring rounds in the game. You can choose when the first one occurs, although it must happen before the deck runs through the first time. When you choose to score, you score your area and your area only. It affects nobody else, just you. You'll find fairly quickly in the game body parts move around quite quickly, so it's a good way to bank those points. This first stage of scoring focuses on the number of body parts you've managed to play in your area. Any infected body part scores 0, and a normal body part scores 2 points. Master Surgeons will grant you 2 bonus points for each part they're working on. You then add on any points from body quality cards you've got. At the end of that scoring process, you take your character token and place it on the scoreboard. At this point in the game, anything over around 25 is a good score. At the end of the game, you score again, this time using both halves of the score chart. The first half works as before, but the second is a little more complicated. If a body is matched for gender and colour, you get a bonus of +3 per body part. As soon as you break away from that purity, the points start to go down. If a body is the same colour but different genders, you get +2 for each part. And then if it's the same gender but different colours, you gain 1 bonus point per part. If your bodies do not match on any of these criteria, you get 0 bonus points. The person with the most points at the end of the game is the winner. There we go. That's how to play Frankenstein's Bodies. A big thank you to Andrew Harman for taking the time to teach us the game, and to you for watching. We'll be putting up a review of the game on our YouTube channel shortly, so be sure to subscribe to find out more. Bye bye!